Okay, welcome to Chapter 2, Lesson 8, Adjusting Quotients. This basically applies to long division, and we have to use an estimate when we're guessing on how to divide. Okay, not how to divide, but for what number to put in first. So let's show you a quick example. 3,382 divided by 48. Okay, so when we go ahead and we write this out, this is 48 into 3,382. 3,382. Okay. So we have to sort of make an adjustment, maybe an estimate. If we were to estimate this one, we might choose 50. Oh, something's happening. Okay. We might change 48 into 50. We're going to divide by 50, and then we're going to think of a compatible number that works nicely with 5. And 3,000 works nicely with 5, or 30 does. 5 goes into 30 6 times. 5 goes into 30 6 times, and that leaves 2 zeros left. So I might assume, oh, that's one too many zeros. After I divide, I go back and multiply, and I see right away that I've got too many zeros. But let me show you what happens. 6 times, you want to go backwards and multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. And then with 2 zeros left. But I have actually 3 zeros here. The answer to this would actually be 30,000, not 3,000. So I definitely kind of overdid it. There we go. Now when I look at it, 6 times 5 is 30. That takes up the 3 plus the 1 0. And I have an extra 0 here and an extra 0 here. And this 0 and this 0 take the place here for these two. Okay, that works out better. Sorry for that. I'll be able to do that better next time. So this is the estimate. So I might guess 60. Or 6. The first digit here is 6. This is the important one if I'm dividing. And so if I were to put this in right here, and I go ahead and do the math, 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 8 is 28. And then when I subtract, 8 take away 8 is 0. Borrow from the 3. 13 take away 8 is 5. 2 take away 2 is 0. So that leaves me with 50. This doesn't work very well because it's bigger. This is bigger than my divisor, 48. So 6 isn't going to work. And the whole idea of adjusting your quotient is that a lot of times you use an estimate. You just use your head. In your head you think what will work, and you choose 6. And you go ahead and you try it, and if it doesn't work, then you adjust and you do it again. You redo it with a better number. Okay. And what you might do, you can write out all of this, or you can just kind of take a look and you can say, okay, well, 48 rounds up to 50. So in your head, you're going to just think of 50, or the 5 actually, and you're going to say, how many times does 5 go into 33? So let's actually just do it that way. So we have the 5, and it goes into 33. It goes in 6 times. And we tried that. That was our first bet. 5 times 6 is 30. But it doesn't quite work because it's not quite 50. It's actually 48. So we're going to go ahead and readjust up to a 7. Okay, so our estimate is 6, but I'm going to readjust up to a 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 5 is 33. 28 plus 5 is 33. And now when I subtract, I get something that's much more reasonable. I have just 2 left over. Okay, and then I bring down my other 2. and that's still too small. 2 is smaller than 48. When I bring down the next number, 22, that's still smaller than 48. So I have to put a 0 in here in the quotient. Okay, 0 times 48 is 0. Subtract 0. You still have 22. So your remainder then is 22. See how that works? I'm assuming we're still going to use remainders. Okay, so that's one of the examples. We're going to just look at several, and hopefully I'm not going too slow for you. I sort of feel like I am. 453 divided by 65. Now 65 is kind of an interesting number because that rounds up to 70, but it's right in the middle, so you almost want to round down to 60. Okay, so I'm guessing that it's going to cause us some problems here when we go ahead and try to divide. 65 into, let's try to fix that up a little bit, 453. Now I'm just going to think in my head, well, 6 goes into 45. 6 goes into 45 7 times. 6 times 7 is 42. And 7, if I were to round up, goes into 45 6 times 42. So if I'm rounding up, I'm going to put a 6 up here, and if I'm rounding down, I'm going to put a 7 up here. So I have to choose either a 6 or a 7. Now I think in the book, the book is going to go ahead and round up. So they're going to think 7 into 45, and they'll pick a 6. So that's what we're going to do just to follow along. This is kind of what you ought to do if you're thinking about it. You're going to round up, pick a 6, and 6 times, excuse me, I put that in the wrong place. 6 times 5, and putting it in the place, choosing where to put it is sometimes difficult. I know that 6 times 6 would be 36, and that would take up these two place values like this. Alright, but I'm not multiplying 6 times 36, 6 times 6, I'm actually multiplying 6 times 6 tens, or 6 times 60, 6 times 65, so I have an extra place value, and I have to make sure I shift this 6 over one more space so that it's over the 3. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and back up real quick on that. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 3 is 39. And when I subtract, I'm probably going to have too much. 45 take away 39. Well, this looks like 15 take away 9 is 6. 63. I have 63, which actually works out pretty well. Did I do that right? I guess so. Nice. So that one worked out just fine. I guess in the book, they did do this in the book, and they rounded it all the other way. They rounded it down for some reason. Oh, they did 70. They found a compatible number, 49. Okay, I see what they did. Let me write it out real quick. They did 70 into 490 because 49 is a compatible number. And so that would be, whoops, not 70. Again, I keep forgetting that extra place. 7 times 70 would be 490. Okay, this is what they did. This is what I just automatically did in my head, and obviously it was better. They're wanting to use the compatible numbers to think about which number to choose. So they chose 7. If we had chosen 7, we would have had too much. 65 into 453. If we had chosen 7, like they did, 7 times 5 is 35. And 7 times 6 is 42, plus 3 is 45. Now we can't subtract. we can't really subtract because we have more than we should. It doesn't work. We can't take 5 away from 3 without borrowing, and 453, this number is actually smaller than this number. This number is bigger, and we can't subtract it, so we know we've gone overboard and we have to use a 6. Okay, so that's said and done. If we just look ahead and do 1 or 2 problems from the next from your assignment. So if, say, for instance, 34 goes into 2,831, we're just going to grab a random problem off your assignment, and we have to make an estimate. That's what they always want you to do. We're going to just round this to 30 and say 30 goes into what? 3 goes into 3,000. Okay, so 2,831 can round up to 3,000. So we're just finding a compatible number, and 30 goes into 30 one time. Now, I can see right away this isn't going to work. Silly. Okay, if I follow this model, then I'm gonna put the 1 right here. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And that's not going to work out at all. 34 is bigger than 28. I can't subtract. So I'm going to go ahead and back up. And once in a while you can see right away that your model's not going to work. This is the high estimate. If I wanted to find another way to do it, maybe I would round. I'm not sure. What would I do? I still have to do 30. And if I round down to 27, there you go. That's probably what I should have thought of in the first place, because that's a compatible number. 3 goes into 27 9 times. So if I put the 9 over here where it belongs, it would be 90. And so if I choose 9 times 4 is 36. Should I change colors so we can see what's happening here nicely? 9. Putting it right here so that it matches here. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 3 is 27. 28, 29, 30. Well, that's still too big. If that's still too big, then we're going to have to just adjust. This is probably what we were supposed to do the first time. We have to adjust, and we're going to adjust down on this number. So this number is too big because I got 306, which is bigger than 283. If I adjust down one time, same number, same problems, 2,831. This time I'm going to adjust downward to 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 3 is 27. Now I have 3 take away 2. Change back to blue. Dark blue. 3 take away 2 is 1. We're subtracting. 8 take away 7 is 1. So we have a remainder of 11, and that works nicely. It's smaller than 34. We got to bring down our other 1. Now this is 111. And again, we can do the same thing. We think to ourselves, well, how many times does 30 go into 111? And we think of a compatible number. Well, that would be like 120. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I might have to do it like that, and then I'm going to say 4 times 4. Now I'm guessing that because I rounded up, I'm guessing we're going to have some trouble here, and we're probably going to have to go for the 3. But the 4 is what our estimate told us to do, and the 9 was what our estimate told us to do before, and we were wrong that time. But the estimate gets us close. Sometimes it works out just right. 4 times 4 is 16, so carry the 1, add the 6. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Okay, obviously that's too big, so we're going to adjust down, and we're going to add a 3 instead of a 4. Okay, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, and I have something a little more reasonable. 111 minus 102. 11 minus 2 is 9. And 9 is much smaller than 34. It works as a remainder. So remainder 11. Okay. Now, you guys, once you get going, it should go pretty quick. Let me grab one more. 2,693 divided by 56, not 6, 56. Okay, and we'll just kind of whip through this one. I'll just do it, and we should be going faster for you now. 2,693. So this, you might round this up to 60. And you might think to yourself, 60 into, 6 goes into what? Well, 6 goes into 24. So 6 goes into 24 4 times. So we're going to just use a 4 and see what happens. It might be that it worked out great. Using our estimate should work some of the time. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22. We're going to subtract here. Let's change colors. 9 take away 4 is 5. 6 take away 2 is 4. It did work out nicely. 45 is smaller than 56. Go ahead and bring down the 3. And now I kind of do the same thing. I think 60 goes into a number, 453. I'm going to think of a number that 60 goes into, and 6 goes into 42, or 48. So I have to choose one of those. If we just choose 42, that's the one I thought of first. It goes in 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. So we just go ahead and do that. I'll try the 7. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 4 is 39, and subtract is 61. 61 is my remainder. That means that I should have used an 8 up here instead of a 7, so we're going to have to run backwards, do all of our work over, erase it, put a 6 in. Not a 6, an 8. We had room for one more, and we had a 7. So 8 times 6. Okay, so we had a 7, but we needed to go up one more because we had too many left over. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 4 is 44. It's supposed to be a 4. And we'll subtract. And this is more reasonable. I can tell that it's a smaller number. Borrow from the 5, make it a 13. 13 take away 8 is 4. That's it. 13 take away 8 is not 4. Sorry, guys. 13 take away 8 is 5. But our remainder is 5. So 48 remainder 5 is the answer to this one. And that's all there is to it. So division seems to take a long time. We might have to take a little bit of an extra day between yesterday's lesson and today's lesson to get both of them done. I think that makes sense. But we'll go ahead and work on it in class. You guys have been asking for more silly faces, so I'm going to draw one. Here's a head, and this is what I look like in the morning. I put my glasses on first off, and clean out my ears, and I got to make sure that I put on my smile, and I got to fix my 37 hairs. And then if I'm feeling really, really athletic and talented, I will go outside. This time of year I'll go outside and I'll grab, what do you think this is? I'll grab my rake and I'll rake up my leaves because I have a really big tree. I have a couple of them, and they drop lots of leaves, green ones, and some orange ones because they are changing colors. They drop them all over the ground. Some of them are red. That's not very red. That kind of looks like a dark brown. And even some yellow ones. That's not yellow. I'm not picking very nicely. All right, there's Mr. Armstrong cleaning up his yard. And before he comes to school, because it's going to start raining later, so I better do it right away. All right, have a nice day.